Connected to the land with Four Rivers Equipment and John Deere.
Welcome to the Four Rivers Podcast. We are your working partner, and we mean it. Well, I'm Fred Eichler, and I'm here with Ryan Adams from Four Rivers. And Ryan, it's fun to sit here and talk to you about something that I know a little bit about, you know a lot more about, but that's compact utility tractors. And your kind of expertise, correct me if I'm wrong here, is 100 horsepower and down. Is that basically where you focus your energies?
Yeah, Fred, thanks for having us on the show. And so I typically focus on 100 horsepower and down. So it's going to be anything from, basically a lawnmower, if someone just wants to mow their lawn, up to, a 100 horsepower tractor capable of doing hay operations.
Now, break down some of the acronyms, I guess, if you will. In other words, I have a 3025. I know what that means, but break down for somebody that's looking at a compact utility tractor what a 3025 model is.
Of course. So, over the last couple of years, John Deere's done a good job with trying to standardize how they, number their machines, because in the past, it was a little more difficult to narrow down whether frame size or horsepower would correlate with a number. So the way that John Deere's moved towards simplifying that is we've got series from 1 through 9. So it's typically going to be 4 digits. The first digit is your series, and then your last 2 or 3 is going to be your horsepower.
So my 3025 is 25 horsepower motor.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to break that down for people because, compact utility tractors are something I think a lot of people think, well, do I need one? Do I not? And what blew me away when I bought my first one from Four Rivers is that it's one of our go-to machines for almost anything. And I think probably the most important part of that for my wife, Michelle, is she uses it from everything from clearing the snow off the driveway, off the porch. Then we've got a tiller. She's a big gardener. She cans a lot of vegetables. She's got a little tiller attachment. So I want to break down anybody that's listening or has an interest in compact utility tractors. I want to talk about the advantages to them, how it doesn't matter if you have 1 acre or 10,000 acres, what you can use them for, but also what blew me away and I wasn't aware of is all the attachments and how easy they are to use. So that's why we've got you here, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to us. But let's say I didn't know anything about a compact utility tractor. Talk to me a little bit about what John Deere offers in size, and then let's talk a little bit about all the different attachments that you can get for them.
Yeah, Fred, so kind of what you're saying, you guys have a 3 series tractor. It's great for moving snow and using a tiller on your garden, but there's also a ton of different possibilities for, the machine. And, it's anything from like what you were talking about, and the nice part is you can always expand on that too. So even if you make your initial purchase and purchase a tractor and a couple implements to go with it, if you ever have a job come up where you need a log splitter or a set of Pallet Forks, you can always, be reassured that we will have that typically in stock and something that you can just add onto your machine and build it up to, what you need.
Well, let's talk about some of the different ones specifically, like the box scraper. Like I got a box scraper to help me out with roads. That's great, and it's an attachment that blew me away because I can just stick it right on the back of that 3025, and I can make my dirt road perfect again. Yeah. It'll take and pick up dirt from the high spots, and it'll smooth out the low spots so it's comfortable to drive across. Another example is we've got a mower attachment, so we can mow the lawn. We've got a loader attachment, which is basically a bucket. That's
Yep.
how I refer to it. I've got a bucket attachment, so we can pick up gravel. I can pick up dirt. We can throw hay bales in it when we're feeding animals. And I'm not even familiar with all of them. Talk about some of the other attachments, that are options, or what do you see most people purchasing?
Yeah, so kind of what you were talking about, a box scraper is going to be, a very popular attachment. Another few attachments that are popular, like a rear blade, which is also for dirt work. Nice part about a rear blade is it has 2 purposes. So you can, either level out dirt or gravel, or in the wintertime you can use it as a snowplow, just in reverse. So growing up, in Massachusetts when I was younger, that's how we used to remove snow, was with a loader and a bucket on the front and a rear blade on the back. So, there's many more options available to remove snow, but those are going to be 2 very popular ones. Pallet forks are also very popular. We sell a lot of pallet forks. They're also designed for the specific machine. So there's different, tine lengths, which are basically the two pieces sticking out on the front. So you can go anywhere from, a 36 inch up to about a 48 inch.
So, Ryan, we've talked a little bit about some of the different implements that you can get with it. Run a list of all those off, because I didn't know and I didn't understand. When we first went in to look, it blew me away at how many different attachments I could get. And I've actually added some after we bought it. Like, oh, man, I got to have one of those now because we could utilize that. But list all the different implements that you can add on to a compact utility tractor.
Of course. So, John Deere and Frontier, they've got over 100 implements to choose from.
What?
So, your most popular ones are going to be your front loader. But other than that, you've got rear blades, box blades, backhoes, land planes, manure spreaders. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
So you got your butterfly shrimp, your popcorn shrimp, your coconut shrimp. That's what it sounds like to me. But that blew me away. And now it's going to be horrible because my wife's going to hear 100 implements and she's going to look at it to figure out what other things
we've
need
even
to buy.
got a catalog too, so you can keep the dreaming going.
I try and hide that from her. So what's the best bet for somebody? Because I've added some implements later. Do you suggest somebody gets one with just a loader and then adds implements later, or what's your suggestion when they come in to buy it, or should they buy implements when they get it?
My suggestion is we'll try to match it up to your property needs. So if you need a couple implements off the bat, like a loader and a mower deck, maybe something for removing snow, we'll try to gear you towards the right implement for your property's needs. But the beauty about purchasing more implements up front for something you may consider down the road, you get 0% financing on a lot of this stuff, a lot of the new equipment. So, it's better in the long run, because you get a lower 0% rate up front versus paying for them after the fact. But we do always have the implements in stock. So
it might be better to grab them up front, take advantage of bundling it up so my payment covers those implements right up front instead of maybe purchase them later, which I did a couple later as well. So that's you can't help it because you have that many. And I did not realize there was up to 100. That boggles my mind.
Yep.
And John Deere did an amazing job when they designed those compact utility tractors, because I think they designed it with anybody in mind. For example, my wife's small. I tease her all the time. She's about 5'4". I think she weighs about 110 pounds. But she was a little intimidated at first. I was like, man, we need something for you. A lot of times I'm traveling or I'm working on other stuff, or, maybe I'm guiding hunters, or maybe I'm on the farm working on bigger equipment and she needs snow cleared, or she wants to feed the horses herself. And I think one of the things I was most impressed when I went through with, one of the sales guys at Four Rivers is Michelle can change out the bucket. She can put the tiller on herself. And we've got video. If you want to check this out, check out the YouTube. Check out Four Rivers YouTube. You can take a look at a lot of the compact utility tractors. You can see how easy it is. And a lot of them are just 2 pins. You pull a couple pins, you pull right up, you put it on. There's no lifting. They really had that figured out. And that's got to be a huge selling feature for you when you're going over these compact utility tractors with people.
Yeah, it is a very big selling point. The ease of operation, just removing the 2 pins, but also the amount of attachments that do go on the front, kind of like we were talking about. Because you can put a snow plow on the front, pallet forks, manure, basically manure scrapers. I mean, you name it. There's an attachment for the front, and they're all as easy to install.
What do you think the most popular one? Would it be the loader or the bucket? I call it bucket because a lot of people, when you say loader, like,
Yep.
Would you say the bucket's the most popular, or if you were to pick one? I know my wife would probably choose the tiller because it's unbelievable. I mean, she'll literally do a couple acres in the garden and she'll till it up, have it ready to plant. But then she'll also take and go to where we keep our horses. She'll pick up, a lot of the horse manure. She'll take and spread that out, and then she'll till that right into the garden. So she's fertilizing the garden as she's getting ready to plant.
Of course. So, the loader is probably going to be the most popular attachment on the tractor. On small tractors, it typically comes factory installed. So it's usually, ordered with the tractor. And then certain models are ordered without, so we can easily put one on the front. But I would say that is going to be the most popular attachment for the tractor.
And I advise people to go by a Four Rivers location, and here's one of the reasons. When I went by, I really didn't know what I needed. there's a bunch of different series, like you said, 1 through 9, I think, just on the compact utility tractors. Is that correct?
Yep.
So those are all different sizes. When you look at them, you're looking at something that looks really small all the way up to something that looks pretty big. And so when I was looking at them, I talked with a salesman and said, okay, here's what we want. Something that I can use, something my wife can use. Anybody can jump in it, super easy. What do we need? And they asked basically what we'd be using it for.
Yep.
Do we have dirt roads, which I live on a dirt road. So
Yep.
it was like, do you have other little roads? So I think the handiest thing for me and other people that I know that have purchased them is whether you have 1 acre or, like I mentioned earlier, 10,000 acres. There's a lot of jobs you're going to utilize them for. But talk about some of the features. Like, you guys have an amazing warranty as well, and I want to talk about the warranty. But first, let's talk about starting it. Is no issue. A lot of people think tractor, is it kind of, is it tough to run? It's hard to start. Talk about the drive system, the pedals. My wife loved just the forward and reverse on the pedal. There's nothing else. There's different models that have different drive systems, but talk a little bit about that if you would.
Yeah. So, when you walk into one of our Four Rivers locations, our salesmen are trained to ask you the right questions. So a couple questions that come to mind are, starting off, how many acres do you have? And that'll help kind of gear tractor size. And then going from acres, we would also ask, what would you like to primarily use the machine for? If you're going to be heavy on the cutting, like a rotary cutter, or mowing, having more horsepower is a little bit easier, cutting through that thicker grass. So we try to gear the tractor to your specific property needs. So everybody's different. Every property is different, but the salesmen are trained very well on how to choose the right machine for your property, help you choose.
Four Rivers got locations all over, from Wyoming all the way down into Texas. So we're kind of in a unique environment. We may go from, in Texas, sea level or a little bit above sea level, all the way up. I live at 7,000 feet, and I'm sure you guys work with people that live at even higher elevations than that. And, it takes a different tractor and different carburation, system for Florida. In other words, they're going to set the carburetor different than they would in, Colorado, where I live. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in Colorado, we've got a geographic challenge, to say the least. So we've got customers that are about 4,000 feet, as well as customers that are up in the high country, that are, close to 11 to 12,000 feet. So finding the right machine to fit the customer's need, it takes a little bit of math as well to figure out, horsepower requirements for implements, because everything takes different horsepower requirements. Every implement does. So, the typical rule of thumb is 3% per 1,000 feet is kind of how much horsepower that you lose, per every 1,000 feet. So, when you're up at 12,000 feet, you lose quite a bit. So having something like a turboed tractor will help pick that power back up, and that'll help with your engine basically lost because of the elevation.
And you've really got something. Let's talk about a little bit. If somebody purchases a tractor from you, for example, you can get into them. Like, we put ours on a payment system. So you have some like the 1023E, which I think is one of the smaller compact utility tractors you have. Am I right there?
Yeah, so 1023E is going to be the smallest of the 1 Series family.
And that's a 23 horsepower tractor. Yep. It's a smaller frame. And, you can get that with a loader and a rotary cutter for possibly a couple thousand down. And what would be the payment for that, per month approximately?
Yeah, John Deere makes it very simple to do financing on their products. A lot of times they have a 0% financing rate available. So if you match that up with, a couple $1,000s down, I mean, you can possibly get into a machine for, around $150 a month, depending on how it's equipped.
And when I did my research, the resale value is one of the biggest reasons I went with John Deere, because there's a lot of options. When you look at compact utility tractors, it seems like everybody has one. Some of them are names I've never heard before. Yep. It's like, who is this? Or names you don't recognize. And I tell people it's kind of, you get what you pay for. But to get into a compact utility tractor, you're not breaking the bank. And I've found that on our place, it's something that we use all the time. And the resale value blew me away when I compared it to everybody else's because, it's all about, let's be honest, it's all about money. I mean, whether I buy a truck, whether I buy anything these days, a house, anything somebody's going to buy, you're going to look at, okay, what if I need to sell this one day? What if I want to upgrade when I go to sell it? If I just wasted my money and I'm going to have to sell it for almost nothing, or is it going to maintain its resale value? And so when I compared that, and I encourage people to check that out, but if you look at the resale value of almost any piece of John Deere equipment, you can a lot of times get your money almost out of it, which blows me away. I've got an old 4020, and I can't believe, it's over 50 years old, and I've had guys go by that see me running that and go, hey, man, I bought that tractor from you. And I'm like, well, that's probably what it sold for new 50-some years ago. So the compact utility tractors are impressive to me because they do keep their value so well. So when you're going out and you're looking at compact utility tractors, compare some of the value, not only with what you're buying, but I tell people, look at the resale value. To me, that's super important. Let's talk about when somebody comes in, let's talk about the no haggle pricing. And that's important to me. And when my wife goes out, and this is embarrassing, but she buys a lot of stuff for us. And one, because she's smarter than me, but two, because I'm doing stuff all the time. So my wife will go out and she doesn't want to haggle. I can't stand the used car salesman type deal. When somebody go out and it's like, oh, well, let me go talk to the store manager. Let me go back and forth and let me see, and it's like, it's exhausting. I mean, to buy a vehicle in most places today is absolutely exhausting. It doesn't matter if it's a used one or a new one, but I like the no haggle pricing Four Rivers has. When you walk into a Four Rivers store, that's the price. So I think it makes shopping for one a little more comfortable. So Ryan, another feature about the compact utility tractors, and again, the reason we're going over this, and please check out Four Rivers YouTube because you can see these compact utilities in use. You can see what you can use them for, all the different attachments, and you can also see, like even for the loader, you guys have different programs that'll lift different amounts of weight. So you decide what you want to do and what you can safely lift with that. So it'll give you things like, okay, this loader will handle this much weight. You can use this size of an attachment. But one of the other features for me when it came to purchasing one was the 10-year warranty. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the 10-year warranty is something that you can enroll your tractor in at the time of purchase, and that would be through the 1 through 5 series tractors. It's included free with the machine, but it does require annual inspections or a fluid change, like your annual oil change service on it.
Of course, so that makes sense. So it's a 10-year, that's what I looked into. It's a 10-year warranty. John Deere has enough faith in those machines that you're not going to have to really worry about breakdowns, and that warranty is going to be covered as long as you bring it in once a year for the routine service check. And they're going to go through the fluids and make sure everything's up to snuff. But that'll not only keep your machine running, but it'll also keep you enrolled in that 10-year warranty for the powertrain. I think that's what's covered, correct?
Yeah, and to make it even easier, we also offer service packages as well. And service packages are something that can be purchased at the time of tractor purchase or later on. But when you purchase it up front, which is nice, is you can actually enroll that in your financing costs as well.
Right, and I think that's what we did with ours when we bought it, or my wife bought it. and what's nice too is, and granted, it costs a little more money, but for us it was worth it to add some of that, is to have somebody come to my location. Sometimes I don't have time to load it up and bring it into a Four Rivers location, but Four Rivers has got tons of maintenance vehicles on the road, and I've actually had them come to my ranch and said, hey, it's going to be way easier for me instead of taking a day, you know what I mean, or even half a day to load it up and haul it into Four Rivers. You guys send a qualified mechanic out to my location. They're going to cover that right on the spot, so I don't have to mess with that.
Yeah, and we've got a few options. We've got a mobile service that'll come out to your location like you're talking about. You can also bring it into our store, and we've also got trucks that are capable of picking up all the equipment too. So if you'd like it picked up so that it saves you a trip, we'd be more than happy to pick it up.
And it works out me because I can choose the best time of year for me to get that service done with the mobile guys that'll come out and do it right on site. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, and again, I'm sitting here with Ryan Adams. And he's in ag and turf sales, and he basically specializes in the 100 horsepower and below. And what's great about a compact utility tractor is you can do almost anything with it, tons of different attachments. And be sure to check out Four Rivers YouTube, and you can check out all the different attachments for it. So the no haggle pricing, the warranty, the different size tractors, those are some of the advantages to the compact utility tractors. We talked about the resale value, which to me, actually, I'm even thinking of upgrading. And I was surprised because now mine's used. I've had it for 4 to 5 years. And I was surprised because I talked to one of your salesmen the other day and I said, man, I'm thinking about upgrading to a larger one. This has been great for everything I wanted to do, but now I've got even more jobs. I find that we're jumping on it enough to where it's going to be worth it for me to upgrade. I said, when I bring it in, what can we do? He said, oh, Fred, we've got to, if it's used and you bring it in, you're going to be surprised. The resale value is huge on it, and you're going to get pretty close to something that's going to help you step into a larger size compact utility tractor. So the resale value really surprised me on that. And now I can jump in and get larger attachments and do even more work, or my wife can.
Yep. So at Four Rivers, we recently went towards a new pricing structure for tractors. So we've called it the simple tractor buying. And, we've got a couple different things that are included with that. With simple tractor buying, you've got the same price at each location. So you know that whether you go to one of our southern stores or one of our northern stores, you're going to receive the same price at all of them. Another thing I wanted to touch on was our 30-day exchange policy. So, we'll try to do our best to get you into the right tractor the first time. But, for any reason, if you're unhappy with it or if you need to upgrade to a bigger tractor or even downgrade if it's a little too overkill for your property, we have that 30-day exchange policy, so that we can help get the job done.
All right, I can jump in and grab a larger one or a smaller one if I need. And that's a 30-day, take it back,
Yep.
and I can change tractors.
Yep.
Nice. So I want to talk about your experience with tractors, which you obviously have a lot. One, tell me about your favorite compact utility tractor. Just your favorite. And then I want to talk about the first John Deere you ever got on, because I think it's kind of cool. Everybody seems to remember their first one. So out of the lineup, the 1 through 9 on the compact utility tractors, do you have one that's a favorite for you?
I think that the 1 Series is going to be my favorite tractor. It's a very competitive market in that size machine. But, there's so many options available for that tractor, that you don't have to have the 10,000 acres like you're talking about. I mean, we've sold many units to, customers who have, 1 acre to 5 acres. That's a good size for the 1 Series tractor. It's small enough where it cuts your lawn, but it's also big enough where it can, help kind of level out a dirt road and do everything in between.
I think that's cool because you're a big guy. You're probably my size, 6 foot or over, and 200 pounds. And I think it's interesting that your favorite is that smallest one, the 1023E. And I love that because I find myself hopping on the small, the 3025 that we have all the time. But
Yep.
What's neat is Michelle's just as comfortable getting on it. So now I'm going to hit you with this, and I like doing this in the podcast. What is the first John Deere memory you have? What's the first John Deere tractor that you got on? Do you remember what it was?
Yep. So it's actually the first tractor that I grew up on was similar to our now current 3 Series. It's growing up. I didn't grow up on farmland or anything like that. So I grew up actually in the woods. So we had about 40 acres. So it was good enough. It was a great machine for mowing your lawn, but it was also great for cutting trees down and running it through a wood chipper and kind of everything you need it to do. And it was also fun removing snow in the winter.
Yeah, it makes it fun.
It makes it fun.
It's silly good. It makes it fun. My wife loves, all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is awesome. She's out there clearing snow and she's having a blast because it is. It's actually fun. You can get a lot of work done. And I grew up the same. I grew up out of the city limits, but my dad did not have a tractor, which I'm bummed. I wish they would have had these compact utility tractors because I could have got a lot more work done and enjoyed it a lot more as I was going. Well, if you want to see some fun that you could have with a compact utility tractor, I know they're supposed to be for work, but I was at a Four Rivers location, and they had a really neat event that was open to the public. Anybody could hop on a compact utility tractor, but check out the link provided because we had a blast. It was a little competition, and it got serious. We were racing and dropping balls into buckets and seeing how fast we could do it, but this will give you an idea not only how easy they are, but some of the things that you could do with a compact utility tractor. Well, Well, Ryan, thanks for your time. And I hope if you're listening to this podcast, if you thought about a compact utility tractor, check out Four Rivers, check out John Deere's lineup, and I think you'll be impressed with them. I love mine. I know my wife loves it, but I think I'm going to upgrade. The 3025 has gotten us by for a while, but I think I'm going to jump into a little bigger one so I can do even more with it.
Fred, I want to thank you for having us on the show, and I appreciate it.